Hi everyone, it's Melissa and welcome to the Creatives Tarot, the YouTube channel that helps you supercharge your creativity and pursue your passions. My name is Melissa and I'm so grateful that you're here today for another 10-minute deck review. Now, if you're new to the channel, we break these deck reviews down into 3 parts. The first part is just the basics. So what is the deck? How many cards are there? What's the price point? Where can you get it? The second part is about diversity and inclusion. So we want to look at how inclusive the artwork and the imagery and the guidebook is. And then lastly, we're going to talk about user experience. So what are the pros and cons of the deck that I like, and how do I use it? All of this is designed to help you make an informed decision about which decks to add to your collection. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so today we are going over the Light Seer's Tarot deck. This is one of my absolute favorite decks. It is a perfect everyday beginner deck, and we're going to go through why. I will walk through some of the cards, but if you have been following me on YouTube, you have seen me use these cards a lot. You'll be familiar with the imagery. This deck is by Chris Ann, and I have a couple different decks designed by her, but this one is one of my favorites. It's $24.99. It is a Hay House deck, so it's pretty affordable, meaning that it's mass produced. You can see it's got a little wear and tear. I have used this. I've had it for a while now. It's gotten a little bit beat up when I store it, but it's actually one of my favorites. It is a 2-piece box with a lift lid, a little thumb thing to help you lift it up. Inside, you'll see there's little messages here. I always love when the interior is designed nicely and there's a little message inside there. And then we've got our cards here. Standard tarot deck. This is the back of the card. Love it. You can't tell if it's upside down or reversed, like this one is reversed. So it works great for reversals with the mirror imaging. And like I said, standard 78 card deck. And then we have this beautiful guidebook. So what I love about her cards is that they all come with a pretty thick, look at that, thick guidebook, 184 pages, which is crazy. And each one has a 2-page description. Look at that. So there's a lot of information here in the guidebook about each and every card, which I love. You have a Light Seer's message and a self-care message, or Shadow Seer's message, so you can use the reversals in this, and there's some guidance on how to do reversal readings. And then there's also a affirmation type message at the end of each card, so you can use that to journal on or reflect on. I just find the interpretations of these cards to be spot on. They are so powerful. Now, this is called the Light Seer's Tarot deck, and I will say in terms of the tone and the style, that's exactly appropriate. So it embraces a lot of the cards and the interpretations in a way that is designed to help you heal and grow with compassion. And it's not quite as jarring as some of the traditional decks are. So that is another good thing to pay attention to. Yeah, so that's the basics. Let's talk a little bit about diversity and inclusion here. So when I do this, we talk about gender, ethnicity, age, and body type. And I will say that this deck hits the mark on all counts. So you'll just see, we'll just flip through. You'll see there's a diversity of ages here. We do have both genders, but I feel like we don't stick to necessarily gender norms. So that's a good thing. There's male and female representation, but we see all different types of representation. We see all different ages. We see all different races, which I love. We've got interracial coupling here. And then we've also got some, I'm just gonna keep flipping through here. We also have LGBTQ represented here in a couple of different cards. For example, the 10 of Cups, which is traditionally just like a family card. Here you can see a same-sex couple and their kids. So I love that about this deck. age diversity is pretty, I mean, it exists. It's not calling it out. It's like not, there's not a ton of older cards and younger cards, but there are some different ages represented in the cards, especially depending on the number of the card. What I will say is body type. I would say there's a small attempt to be a little bit more inclusive. Like this woman, like she looks a little curvy, but you're not really seeing larger bodies or plus size bodies in this deck. Most of them are quite thin. All of them seem to be about the same height. There's no disabilities represented or disabled individuals represented. So if that is something important to you, which I haven't seen necessarily a ton of decks that do that, but when we're talking about inclusive, I will just call that out. But you can see the age here. And again, that makes sense with this card, the 10 of Pentacles, being able to see the age of the characters or that are portrayed on the imagery. So all in all, I mean, 3 out of 4, like that's still pretty good for a very affordable deck here. There's another image here. Okay, so I think this deck is perfect for a beginner. And why do I think that? Well, one, the artwork and the imagery is very, very similar and very aligned to the RWS decks, the Rider-Waite-Smith decks. You're going to see a lot of symmetry, a lot of alignment in those decks. And where there's not alignment, the drawings and the artwork on these cards really aligns to the traditional meanings and interpretations. And so it's very easy to look at a card like this and be like, oh, okay, well, there's some nurturing here. We've got Mother Nature, right? Because she's pregnant, she's holding the world in her womb. So that sense of mothering, and also Mother Nature of pregnancy and fertility, right? And compassion, like all comes through very easily with this card. When you think of something like the star too, right? Like what do you have? Like you have a star, like you have her looking up. So you're thinking about wish fulfillment. You're thinking about North Star and a guiding light and a connection to that. Trusting your intuition, trusting the magical connection there, right? So there's a lot of ways to read these cards through the imagery, which I think is pretty helpful for beginners. This is another one, the 5 of Cups, which I often think about spilled milk. In this traditional version, we have a young like man, I believe it is, and they're kind of looking at these 2 or 3 spilled cups, and there's like these other wine goblets beside them that are sitting upright, but they're not paying attention to. So obviously these aren't wine goblets, but the same thing is happening, right? You can see her looking at what she's lost and not paying attention to what's behind her and what's still there and what she still has. So the imagery fully aligns with the traditional version of the RWS decks if you're using those. And I think that makes it really easy to learn. And also the guidebook is just so strong that it's really helpful to have the descriptions of reversals, like I said, to have such detailed descriptions of the artist's intention with each of the cards, and have such a thick but like pretty strong book, right? I've had this for a long time, and this book is not well worn. It's like, it's holding up really well. So I think that this is a great deck. The other thing that I will say in terms of it being the Light Seers tarot deck, a lot of people, when they first start doing tarot, they're anxious or they're afraid, or they think it might be evil or bad, or what if they get the Tower card or the Death card or the Devil card? Well, like the interpretations in here, like I said, are always going to lean you towards lightness. They're going to lead you towards growth and healing. Even the Death card is actually, I believe, called the Death and Rebirth card, which I like. I always think of it as the Phoenix card, but yeah, it's if you can see here the description, it's death and rebirth. And then the affirmation that they have for this card is, I allow myself to let go of the past in order to add energy to new beginnings, right? So it's not about like this traumatic thing that may be happening. It's not, you know, the 3 of Swords. We often think about betrayal and, oh my gosh, somebody is cheating on us and we're going to have like this horrible thing happen. And a lot of people, a lot of new tarot readers in particular, when they see that card, they will become afraid and they will become tense and they will draw that energy towards them and they will sort of manifest these negative things and then be like, oh, look what the cards told me. And it's because the cards said that. And so I really like this because it does push you beyond some of those traditional interpretations or readings as well. So how do I use this? This is my everyday deck. I love it. I use it all the time. It's perfect for daily reads. It's perfect for general readings with myself or with clients. I would just say, like, make sure you're getting an authentic deck, because I have seen reproductions of this deck, which are basically counterfeit versions of this deck that are mass produced, and they're pretty crappy quality. So how do you know if you've gotten a real good deck, a real deck? You're gonna have 2-piece box. It's gonna be pretty sturdy cardstock with a matte finish, and you are gonna get this guidebook. The counterfeit versions do not have a guidebook. Instead, what they will have on the box is like a QR code, and you'll scan that, and then it'll take you to a website, which will have some like janky PDF version of a guidebook. If you can find it, I would be very skeptical of downloading anything from those websites. People are trying to get rid of that. But if you see like the barcode, if it doesn't have this barcode on it, which is what we use in the US and internationally, the ISBN numbers to track this, it's not a legitimate deck. So just watch out for that, because the quality is not going to be good. The quality of the imagery, it's like they're digitalized and rescanned, so the images aren't going to be as crisp. The edges might be square instead of curved. It's just, and it's only like $5 or $10 cheaper. This is a really affordable deck, so I don't understand why they're even trying to make plagiarized versions, but they are out there. Some people sell them on Etsy. I've seen them all over Amazon. And if you see it, just report it and move on, because this is from Hay House. You can find it all over the place. There's no sense in taking away that credit and that money and royalty from the creator themselves. And why would you want to use a deck that has that kind of energy? So that is my review. I will share a couple of walkthroughs of just the cards if you want to get a closer look at the cards. Of course, you can look at some of my other reviews as well, or my other readings as well, and see me using it real time. But it's a fun deck, super easy, one of my go-tos for new beginners. So there you have it. I hope you liked this. If so, drop a like down below, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on the whole series of 10-minute deck reviews. And other than that, I will see you later. Bye.